Next, it's my pleasure to introduce Bob Nyman and some of his colleagues who are on the phone. Unfortunately, we won't be able to dial them in due to some of the technical difficulties that we're experiencing. But Bob is with the Harvard Business School Club in Connecticut, and I'll let him introduce his team members. And his charge was the evaluation of the project of the pilot. So thank you, Bob.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. On the phone with me will be Lee Barnes and Andrew Traub. We have a team working on this project. Let me say a little bit about who the community partners are. The Harvard Business School alumni, as you might expect, are organized even after they complete their education. And every state has a Harvard Club of alumni. And in that club, we have something called Community Partners. It's a small group that does pro bono consulting for nonprofits in Connecticut. And we met Joe Carbone and his program at a meeting of funders here in Connecticut. There were about 20-some funders that the county foundation assembled. And it became clear that there was interest in the program, but everybody had a question, which is, will this really pay off? So we were assigned with Joe's impetus to help determine what the economic value of this program is. And as all of you know, funders are increasingly rigorous in demanding of economic performance from nonprofits. Next slide. So what are we doing here? There are several elements of the economic equation that we looked at. First of all, how are the 99ers themselves doing? We want to track their economic experience. What was it before they were unemployed? What happened to them during their unemployment period? And as they go forward, how do they recover their economic earning power and net worth? And so we have asked each of the 99ers to fill out a self-assessment of their economic situation. We have the data on their earnings, what the devastation was during unemployment, and we also asked them to talk about what they did to try to get employment during the 2 years. So we have a pretty good picture of their lives and their economic lives. The next thing we're doing is looking at the employers themselves. We anticipate that as people get employed, they will create economic value for the employers. So that will be the second leg of gain from this program. And we are going to, we have started to interview employers to get their perceptions and discovering some very interesting facts about the unsuspected payoffs that are coming from this program already. And Andrew Traub may talk about that in a few minutes. The next thing we do is look at the total return. That means how many dollars and calories of energy were put into this program and what were the long-term economic gains. So we track the costs of the program. We look at the support systems that have been in place from not only unemployment compensation, but other state programs and charitable programs that people have dipped into. We assume that they will be escaping all of that, and they will be getting earning power themselves, and we will match the total cumulative earning power of the families and the employers, and the reduction in costs, social service costs, match that against the investment that's put in, and we'll get a picture of the actual return on investment. We hope it'll be an exciting number. We think it will be. The next thing is, where are we today in it? This is a long-term process. We have designed the systems for doing it, first of all, so that the data set and the flow diagram and questionnaire formats and all of that. And then we have done the survey of all the first 100 participants. We are starting the follow-up because they are getting employed now. We have over 50 people who've been employed. And so the earning streams are starting. We'll now start surveying those and tracking those earning streams. And then we'll do the analysis as the data comes together. Next slide. What we're learning about is the effect of unemployment on incomes and net worth. We measured the families, not just the individuals, because mostly people have spouses and some are earning money and so forth. So what we learned is, on average, the income stream declined about 80%. We found the net worth declined around 20% because it still had homes, many of these people. We have a pretty good group here in this P2E program. The variation was quite striking. There are some people who had million-dollar asset bases, and some were absolute devastation. They were living in the cars of their friends. So we have quite a spread. But on average, that was what the number was. We learned a little bit of how they've tried to cope. Nobody turned down a job offer. They tried to get them. They had trouble with their interviews, and it was a pretty depressing experience. We now started to talk to the employers and get their sense, and we should have by mid-year enough participants employed and enough employers to do the first pass economic calculation payoff. And they're building into the workplace's own systems so that the tracking questionnaires and so forth are built into their own computers. All you have to do is click, and you can get the next wave survey, and every 6 months or so you can track and see the long-term effect of the program. Andrew, do you want to say a few words about the, he can't do it?
Unfortunately, the technology, we tried to unmute his line and it was too staticky.
Well, it's one of the rare moments when Andrew's not speaking up.
What would he say if he was here?
Well, I will tell you what he would say. The first thing we discovered was that the employers found that this was the fastest, cheapest way to get a new employee. They compared the cost of advertising, recruiting, sorting out resumes, interviewing, and all the rest to get a person employed was X. When they came to Workplace, that was just like that, because Workplace sorted out the people for them. So when they asked for a certain category of employee, Adrian and her colleagues all here were able to home in on that list and find the right placement, put that person to work, and they were at work immediately and making contributions. So we saw the first thing is the economics of just recruiting is improved by this program. The second thing we found out was that these people are adding value to their employers pretty rapidly. One is a marketing expert who's going to work with Yale New Haven instead of health system. They've got a special program that is growing. They didn't have any marketing expertise, so P2E found a marketing expert, an executive in marketing, and they're going to grow the size of that program. Another one is an entrepreneur who's assembled a lot of fast food chains around Connecticut and even in New York, and the person they hired there was to be an office accountant worker. They just wanted somebody who would fit in. Well, it turns out he's got more skills than they had anticipated. He's doing forecasting for them. They've never been able to do that before. So you're beginning to see value added from these 99. The 99ers are not devoid of skills. They have untapped capabilities. So that's some of the things we're learning from that.
Thank you so much, Bob.